News dump. Too much news, no time for hellos.
Okay. No pleasantries?
No. It is not the season for such, Mac.
Oh, true, Goo. Very true.
Odds off the presses, Mac. Bradley Cooper hates chairs. He says that when he directs a movie, there are no chairs on set. And may I applaud the man? I agree.
What do
Keep
you
the
mean?
energy up. Keep it
What
up.
do you mean? So you agree? This is what this motherfucker said. Listen, I'm
Yeah.
a Bradley Cooper fan, so don't get me wrong. I don't think I've ever said a bad word about Bradley Cooper until what's coming in the next couple minutes. He said, I've always hated chairs on sets. Your energy dips the minute you sit down in a chair. There's no video village. Now, video village, he means like this whole gathering behind the camera type of thing. Goo, I don't think he understands how chairs work. So your energy doesn't dip when you go and sit down in a chair. You might go sit down because your energy has already dipped. He's got it all backwards here. He doesn't quite understand the point of a chair.
Everything he said is absolutely true.
So neither
As
of
soon
you
as you
neither
sit
of you
down,
understand the point of a chair.
as soon as you sit down, you fall asleep.
I mean, for some people possibly, but definitely not on set. I also now neither of us have worked on a Hollywood movie set here.
But both of us have sat in a chair. You can agree
We
to this,
are
right?
we are chair sitters.
Yeah.
From what I know about Hollywood movie sets, those chairs look very uncomfortable. So I don't even think that's true when it comes to Hollywood sets. That it's not like they have recliners on set. This is just an absolute bunch of bullshit, bunch of phooey. I don't think there's ever been one time, unless it's Scorsese, and that's because he's old, that someone has sat down on a chair behind a camera and fallen asleep.
I have. But also, I believe Christopher Nolan also does this. He does not allow chairs on sets. It's supposed to be, keep your energy up, whatever it is. Cooper just said this. I would love it if you decided to throw your hat into the ring of directing. And people are like, oh, what are your qualifications? And you go, look, I got lazy boys on set. You act in my movie, you get to sit comfortably.
Yeah, people hate my movies, but the actors like acting in it. That's the whole thing. I'm a huge. I'll tell you right now. I'm hoping I see SAG after or someone come out and speak against this. People need to sit. People need to rest.
News down. R.I.P. Andre Braugher. Is it Braugher?
Braugher is how
Braugher. I don't mean to, but he was known as Raymond Holt on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Passed away at the age of 61. Very sad news. And I will say this, is that his character fucking nails on that show. And then also, I believe that Brooklyn Nine-Nine might be the last sitcom that I truly enjoyed.
Yeah, he was also known for his role on Homicide: Life on the Street, which I don't think either of us have seen an episode of, but pretty popular from that. That's an interesting topic, Goo. I really liked the first 5 seasons of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
I think we have an opportunity to do a top 10 or a ranking or a tier system of I want to do post Seinfeld, television comedies.
They start at the 2000s, the last 25 years. There you go, 25 years. Boom.
Yeah. That might be a topic for a future date.
We need some stuff for January. News dump. Mac, you put this topic on here, and I just don't care, and that is Golden Globe nominations.
Yeah, I don't know why you don't care. We have a podcast dedicated to movies and television.
You know what I care about? You know what award show I care about?
Okay, let me hear it.
Coming at you, I believe 2 weeks from today is the Cinemac and Goovy Awards.
Whoa, you sure about that? Sure about that's not why?
Yeah.
Goo, I thought this might be relevant to you. One of your favorite comedies of the year, or maybe your number one. I don't know where you have it ranked at the moment because your fucking list is a complete absolute bullshit. No nominations for Joyride. None of the script. No script nominations. No actress nominations. But Jennifer Lawrence did get one for No Hard Feelings, and I have them about on the same level. So I wonder how you feel about that.
I don't care.
Do you think it's more because it's ensemble cast?
Possibly, but also I don't think award shows always get it.
Well, I mean, Golden Globe specifically splits it into comedy. Comedy.
You know who does get it?
News dump. No, we're not done. We're not done.
But I wanted to pass it on to the next topic.
We're not done. Pretty well represented or the movies that we have at the top of our list, Goo, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Air, Spider-Verse, and Barbie all got a ton of noms. The only movie that's in my top 6 that didn't get a nom at the Globes is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I guess makes sense. On the television side of things, I hope The Last of Us wins all the awards. It hasn't been a big TV year for me personally.
Can I move on now?
Nah, I guess you can move on.
There's something that you want to bark about for a little while, and that is opening. Now, it has changed, but when it opened up on Friday, Rebel Moon Part 1, there's a colon in there, there's a dash, some kind of a
something with a child or
prince,
children.
maybe. Who knows? But it opened with a 9% since. Now it has 48 reviews on Roddy T's, and it has a 21% and a 72% from the audience. This is the new Zack Snyder Netflix movie hitting theaters, I believe, on the 22nd, and then Christmas is when it's coming out on Netflix.
Yeah, I think it hit theaters last week. It's only in theaters for like a week or two.
Limited run so it can get nominated for awards.
Yeah, and guess what? It's not going to be. This has been in the works for 2 or 3 years now from Snyder. And while this development has been going on, he's been talking about like, oh, I really wanted to do a Star Wars movie. They shut me down. So here's my response.
This is a sexy Star Wars where they swear.
And boy, is this a colossal failure. Now, don't get me wrong. I really, really like 2 or 3 Zack Snyder films. But I don't think he's done anything good in a decade plus at this point. 21% right now. 21 on something that like has this much hype is just such a colossal failure. And even beyond that, 72% audience score, which you might think is, oh, that's not bad.
For one of his movies, not great.
Yeah, I think all the Snyder stuff in the last 5-10 years has been over 85%.
All the Snyder bots have been shut down.
Yeah, and even it's a 32 on Metacritic, so it's like there's nothing redeeming about this movie. Apparently, I'm just so happy that someone so far up his own asshole finally gets a taste of reality here, because I think he has this plan for a trilogy, and Netflix has already bought in. So this is destined to fail, and I'm super excited.
2 things. Number 1, the Human Centipede 2 has a 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 2, as the Zack Snyder fan on this podcast, if it's in, like, I'm not expecting anything great, but if it's interesting, even if it's interestingly bad, I'm in for that.
Well, I have to imagine that the visuals are pretty solid.
Yeah.
So it's most likely the script, which is all Zack Snyder.
So I have read in most reviews that the script is pretty half-baked.
Which is insane. Like, when it comes to sci-fi too, you can get away with so much stuff as long as you have some cool shit. So this must just not be cool at all.
News Dap. Speaking of that, Mac, it looks like Jonathan Majors, reportedly, I've only seen this on X so far, and no one is giving any citing of how they found this out, but he has been fired by the MCU after being found guilty of assault in 3rd degree and guilty of harassment. Sentencing for him is in February, and he could see up to a year in jail.
So obviously we can tread lightly on this. My 2 cents here is I never even read into this because honestly I don't care. I'm happy that he didn't get fired just from allegations a year ago, whenever that first popped up. Number 2, I don't necessarily think if someone gets found guilty of something that precludes them from partaking in certain things. Now, the fact that Marvel is owned by Disney, that changes things. It's just a bummer because they have so much invested in Kang. They'll probably recast him, is my guess. I don't think they go away from him entirely.
They might go away from him entirely just because, I mean, this hasn't gone as planned. This hasn't, they take this out of it.
In Kang.
Take this out of it, but phase 4 and 5 hasn't gone as planned. That's the main.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right about that. I just think they have too much invested in Kang at this point that they have to recast him.
There's depth. Got a teaser for Echo showing off it is the most intense Marvel show yet, and it has a real deep voice the entire trailer, and it's more violent than you'd expect. And Kingpin is there, and also Daredevil. Mac, are you excited for the 5-episode drop in January?
No, I'm actually not, and I think they're thinking this is a plus to their shows coming out, a
A
couple
Disney Plus.
coming out in the next year or so, that they're not necessarily attached to timeline events. To me, that's what keeps me coming back. So unless you watch this and say, hey, it's got some cool tie-ins, I'm probably gonna skip it, Goo.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Kingpin. I'm looking forward to Daredevil. And it was dropped maybe last week where Vincent D'Onofrio was like, I can't believe that they kept the same energy in the Daredevil show that they had in Echo. And then I'm like, wait a second, we don't know what the energy or the same feel is. So we can't applaud that yet.
Yeah, it might be completely meaningless.
News dump. Got a trailer and an episode list, I believe, for What If Season 2.
Yeah, they debuted the first 2 episodes for critics last week, and I don't know, Goo. You had a podcast get dedicated to the first season of this.
It broke my spirit.
I thought there was 2 really good episodes from season 1, and that was really it. So to me, when you're only doing like hit rate 2 or 3 out of 9, I don't think it's really worth repeating. But here they are back again. I've got extremely low expectations for this season. I also want the record to be set here. This is not part of the MCU, and people keep including it. What happens here isn't consequential. Now, they might, if there's an idea that hits or a character that hits, you might see it in the MCU in the future. But what actually happens in here isn't part of the sacred timeline, Q.
What I'm looking forward to is taking that audio and getting rid of you saying it's not a part of the canon. It's not. I'm going to have you say that it is.
Wow,
And
the
you
magic
have
of
no say
editing.
in the matter.
The magic of editing.
News dump. Another trailer for Dune Part 2 coming out in 2024.
March 1st.
2024.
March 1st.
Yeah.
Is this going to be your most anticipated movie of 2024?
No. I mean, I look forward to it, but Deadpool's coming out.
Yeah, true. I guess I keep forgetting about Deadpool. However, yeah, I am looking forward to Deadpool more. However, this movie, because of where 1 leaves off, I think there's a strong chance this is going to be better than Deadpool.
Villeneuve has already said that this is better. He's like, this is a better movie.
Right. Because they had to do all the setup in the first one.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man, and I am, I would bet that this is going to be better than Deadpool. However, Deadpool might be more satisfying for us.
News dump. Got a trailer. Speaking of Deadpool, a trailer for Ryan Reynolds' upcoming movie called If, or if you want to call it a live-action Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, you could also do that.
Goo. Also written and directed by John Krasinski, and we know he was what made A Quiet Place go. So I don't know if this is all original or if he's sort of doing the same thing there and punching up another script. If IF stands for imaginary friend. I don't recall having an imaginary friend as a child. Did you?
I don't think so.
It was a thing. My youngest brother did have an imaginary friend, so that was.
I had stuffed animals that I talked to. Is that the same thing?
I don't know. I don't know if those would be on the same level or not, because you have to have an imagination to picture an imaginary friend. You know.
What was or who was your best friend stuffed animal as a kid?
Oh, I didn't really. So I had a Cabbage Patch doll that was like my
makes sense. Look at you.
That was probably my top dog as far as those things went. Also Teddy Ruxpin, but that's not really a stuffed animal either. Goo, the premise of this movie is what if everything you believed as a kid was real? So there's sort of like an alternate dimension within the real world, which is kind of cool. Looks like it's going to be a fun treat for the whole family. May 17th, and Steve Carell is voicing the main imaginary friend, Purple Grimace guy.
Thanks for asking. My stuffed animal friend was a raccoon named Raccoony. That's my imagination, baby.
Is that why you liked Raccoony so much?
Absolutely. It just plays right into my type. Also, there is a marshmallow in this trailer that if it's not voiced by Rob Paulsen, friend of the show, Rob Paulsen, someone stole one of his voices, because that is, who's the kid from Jimmy Neutron? His friend with the glasses.
Carl.
That's Carl's voice, right?
Is Rob Paulsen Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. That might be Carl's voice. That might be Rob Paulsen right there.
But it also might just be someone stealing his voice.
Well, I mean, the Carl voice is not, it wouldn't be the most unique of Rob Paulsen's voices.
I think it is, because it sounds the least like his voice.
Yeah, but I'm saying the character of Carl, there are many characters that sound like that.
But what I'm saying, though, is that Yakko is pretty much his voice. The brain is very similar to his, well, less than Yakko, but
Okay.
Raphael is his voice.
We're arguing the same side of the
Do
coin
we
here.
want to just go down his IMDb list?
No.
He's in Transformers.
There's a reason I
Biker Mice
wasn't
from
involved
Mars.
in that interview. I don't care.
He was both Raphael and Donatello, different Ninja Turtle series.
I care more about the Golden Globe nominations than this subject.
News dump. Got a trailer for a movie called Civil War, and what's interesting is that it is Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah, they're married in real life. If folks didn't know that,
I'm gonna pull that clip for Twitter and for TikTok. That's a fun, interesting fact.
This is written and directed by Alex Garland, who's done some pretty notable sci-fi stuff over the last decade. This is coming in April of next year, so this could be real good. This could be strong. Of course, an A24 movie as well, so that always kind of boosts things up a little bit. But this might be real good.
You know, it doesn't look good. News dump. Look, I don't want to. You know, I was actually going to say this is my New Year's resolution for 2024 is to not be as negative on this podcast as I've been maybe this last year or two.
No.
I feel I've been overly negative.
Can I step in?
Yes.
I want you to be less indifferent.
But
so
many things are just fine.
So hate things more and like things more. I want there to be no middle ground anymore for you. I want you to be Rotten Tomatoes, strictly binary.
I want to sit on the fence for every topic moving forward next year.
It is true. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get motivated about something when it's just fine.
But I will say this, is that the trailer for Beverly Hills Cop 4, this movie does not look good.
Is this series and is Eddie Murphy in general? Now, you are definitely a bigger Murphy guy than I am, but is Eddie Murphy, is his draw to the audience that's like a little bit older than us? Because I don't need this. I don't want this.
The reason why I would like this, or the reason why this looks better than, say, Coming to America, is that this is more of a classic, like, big Murphy character, big, loud, laughing Murphy character. So that's where the possibility of it being good is more with this than, say, Coming to America. But also, that movie was so bad. That movie was terrible.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch Beverly Hills Cop 4. I'll just say that. I'll go out on a limb and say that.
But I'll also say this, is that I think that his Dolomite Is My Name was amazing a couple of years ago. When he hosted SNL, when he was, big, quick talking Murphy, that was great. And this character's kind of that. So we'll see.
All right. Yeah, maybe. You know what? If you watch it and you tell me it's good, I'll watch it.
What if I just watch it and then I just don't tell you if it's good? What if I sit on the fence and I'm like,
I won't watch it.
You're going to watch it too? News dump. All right, Mac, I just said this, but I'm going to try not to be negative moving forward.
Okay. All right.
Now, I'm allowed to be negative until 2024. Why are they adding Aquafina to Kung Fu Panda?
I thought you were going to be a little more open-minded than that, Goo. The Kung Fu Panda franchise has got to be one of the most underrated franchises ever.
Trilogy. It's a great trilogy.
It's really good movies.
The fourth one, though, they might be stretching it.
Could be, but you're balancing the Aquafina with Tenacious D. Tenacious D is going to be writing the music for the film, and I really like that.
Yeah, but you say that, and then you think to yourself, oh, that makes sense because it stars Jack Black. It's not like...
I know, but why?
It's not like Shrek brought in Jack Black to do the music.
I understand that, but it's something that's missing from the first 3 Kung Fu Panda films.
This almost seems like, okay, Jack, we have this large sack of money for you. Can you please come back and do more Kung Fu Panda? He's like, maybe. And they're like, okay, you can write the music.
We heard Peaches. We want that 15 times.
What if it's all just Peaches? Which, by the way, Peaches nominated for a Golden Globe.
Panda.
Also, I believe Ken was too. But Peaches...
Barbie got 3 noms for Best Original Song.
But I will say this is that Peaches still feels like that was a first draft. He just sat down and sang it. And they're like, all right, sure.
Yeah,
put it in.
Took him 4 minutes to write, for sure. No doubt about it.
James Gunn has been talking a lot. I believe he does this all on Threads. He goes on Threads a lot, and he threads all over the
questions,
place.
Ask me anything type of thing.
Yeah,
AMA.
so he made the point of saying that he doesn't care for cameo porn, which I first read as porn cameo, and I'm like, It'd be wild if Jeremy, what's his
Ron
name?
Jeremy.
If Ron Jeremy shows up in one of these movies.
Well, I didn't know what the hell he was referring to until it was explained. And essentially what
After I sat there and searched porn on my computer for a while.
what he's saying, and he's got a somewhat
Yeah.
decent point, even though his Guardians movies did this a little bit.
And also he loved the Flash. But go ahead.
Yeah, right. Great point, actually. A lot of big blockbuster movies these days, especially
blockbusters,
comic book movies to a certain extent, is cameo porn, in that they'll hire this super famous actor. Think of Multiverse of Madness and John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic for like a 2-minute bit role, just because they're super famous and people will want to see that for 30 seconds.
I mean, think about the end of Black Adam getting Henry Cavill in there. Think about Ms. Marvel, or the Marvel. Sorry,
yeah, but at least, Black Adam's different because that character was established.
No, I'm aware of that, but that's still a cameo, and it's still kind of cameo porn. But also, if you want to talk about cameo porn, how about in Peacemaker, the Justice League showed up
again?
They walked right by.
James Gunn lost a lot of credibility when he said that The Flash was one of the best comic book movies ever. And he was a big fat liar. And again, he's contradicting himself with his comments here, because we just brought up 2 or 3 instances where he's doing exactly what he's talking against.
Of The Flash, and speaking of cameos, although this was a little funny joke at the end, but George Clooney has said that his return as Batman was a one-time thing, saying, "I don't think there are enough drugs in the world for me to go back again."
I don't have any ill will towards The Flash, like, at all. I still enjoyed that.
It's on everyone's worst list, but
I don't get that, man.
Look, I really don't like the CGI. We all don't like the CGI.
We can agree on that. Yeah.
We all don't like Ezra Miller. There's a lot of things we don't like.
But despite all that, most of the movie was fun.
Yeah, there's enough there.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. It wasn't the greatest movie of all time.
Michael Keaton. It's Michael Keaton. And he's dressed as the lady from like World War II, who's like, just go and do it.
Although that said, the opening sequence of the Flash saving all those babies, that in itself could get it nominated for worst movie.
That is going to win a Cinematic Movie.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. But after
By the way, I'll send you a
I
template.
didn't mind anything really. This is a lot of quotes this week from Gunn. My favorite here, I'm going to jump down a little bit, is he left it up. He thinks so much of the Batman and Matt Reeves that he left it up to him as to whether or not they wanted that story and that Batman in the DCU. What do you think about that?
I love it. So James Gunn at his core is a creator. And Matt Reeves was brought into this universe as like, hey, you go do your Elseworld stories. So he's not going to be like, no, you have to be in my stories now. We'll give you the option. If you want to join, you can, but you signed on to do something else.
So do you love it because you don't want the Batman ruined? Is that essentially what you're saying?
So I love it for that reason. And also, I will take 100 Batman. I don't care. Like, because Batman is going to be in this universe, so they're going to give us a new Batman.
Yeah, so I like that the Batman universe is going to be generally untouched. I'm already seeing it, though, and we can see this a million miles away. The minute we get the Batman in the DCU and it's not as good as Reeves's Batman, we're going to be like, I wish that was our Batman.
Yeah, but then we can add it to a list and we can do more podcasts.
There's a lot of pressure on whoever gets cast as the DCU's Batman. That's for sure.
And then I guess they're changing the sequence of the beginning of the movies, which makes sense. It's not a part of that old world. And then they will have a different opening sequence if it's an Elseworld movie, which also makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, say, when Venom starts and it says a Marvel not in the MCU.
Yeah,
don't
Marvel
you dare think
in
this is a part of
association
us.
with Marvel Studios, but it's not a part of the MCU. Yeah.
News app.
Go.
Oh my God, what?
Can you read? Are you having trouble
I
reading?
didn't think that note was important.
No, well, back to the Batman stuff at the bottom, you missed that.
Oh my God.
They had confirmed after the Batman came out that they were making an Arkham series based around the police department and Jeffrey Wright's Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
The weird part about all this Reeves stuff is that apparently is now going to be in the DCU. So I don't know if Jeffrey Wright's going to pull double duty and be in and out. I don't know what's going to happen here, but that original spinoff about the Arkham Police Department is going to be in the DCU, and that's interesting.
You know what I heard? That I think in the Arkham one, he's going to wear a hat, and that's how we're going to be able to tell him apart.
Hey, Goo, what was that movie with the guy from Mad Men and Matt Damon where he wore the hat to jump in and out of things? What was that movie called? Remember that movie? Came out in like 2008, maybe. Matt Damon wears the pork pie hat. You don't recall that movie? What the fuck was the name of that movie? You don't remember that fucking movie?
No.
Oh, God. All right. I'm going to have to Google this. Keep talking. Go.
News dump. Oh, boy. Tubi, the big old streaming service. They have acquired the DC movies. All DC movies will be available to stream on Tubi for free in a new deal between the streamer and Warner Brothers. This is via Variety. Mac put here, not quite Ohtani to the Dodgers, but a pretty good deal for Tubi, but kind of bad for DC.
Yeah, that's not great news for DC, considering that catalog should be worth a lot of money, and Tubi didn't pay much for it.
But they probably paid a little bit for it.
I'm sure a little bit, but that they should have just left. What's the point of moving them to Tubi? It just makes you look worse, dude.
Do you think there's a chance that we'll be streaming the DC movies on our YouTube channel next year?
I think that we could pay enough to get them onto our YouTube channel. That's for sure.
At least for like Batman Forever.
Cool. I'm trying to find this fucking Matt Damon.
Oh my God. News dump. Bite the curb, Matt. Curb Your Enthusiasm will be ending. This is its final season starting on February 4th on Max. The series finale will be on April 7th, but I will say this is that I believe we've been told several times that the show is ending.
They had roughly 2 false series finales in the past. Yes. One was after season 5, before they brought in Leon and whatnot, and I think another one after season 9, maybe.
I want to say also after season 8, the Seinfeld season, they kind of had it feel like a bit of a finale. And then,
there was like a 7-year break between 9 and 10, I think.
Was season 9 when they ended it with the Michael J. Fox episode and they went to France?
Yeah, that might have been 9.
That felt like a series finale too.
Yeah. So this is just, it's not like I didn't expect to see this coming. This is just my favorite show of all time, and I want it to go on perpetually. However, I guess getting 12 seasons out of it is plenty, because I didn't.
Larry's old.
Yeah, Larry Simmons is old. I gotta say though, this is I don't know if you could name a series that has gotten better and stayed better for as long as Curb has.
Seinfeld.
It's a weird. No, I don't.
Seinfeld got better and stayed better. What
you think the last season of Seinfeld is up to snuff?
Season 9 is fantastic.
All right, I don't think I agree with you there. But either way, it's a Larry David project, so he kind of gets credit for it. I just think Larry David has been so successful consistently for 30 years, and that's a hard run to ever replicate again.
News down. The Rock will be working with A24.
Goo.
Yeah.
The Adjustment Bureau, starring Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, and the white-haired dude that plays Tony Stark's father, and also from Mad Men.
And he travels through time
2011. 2011. You never seen this movie?
Does he travel through time with a hat?
The affair between a politician and a contemporary dancer is affected by mysterious forces keeping the lovers apart. You don't remember
what's
that?
What's going on with
movie?
The Rock? What's happening with The Rock?
Fuck you, Goo. Dwayne Johnson is set to star in an A24 film directed by Benny Safdie. The film's going to be called The Smashing Machine, and he'll be playing a UFC fighter who struggles with addiction, winning love, the whole thing. So good idea in concept, because I think that's actually a pretty unexplored story. Like, one of the reasons the movie The Wrestler is so good is because it explores a lot of that stuff outside of the ring.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of that stuff that can still be explored. However, I don't know if Dwayne Johnson's the guy for this role, Goo, because I don't think The Rock can act the way this role is going to need.
You know who would have been great for this?
Batista.
Dave
Batista would have been dynamite for this.
Jinx.
Yeah.
You owe me a Coke.
Agreed.
News dump. Adam Driver. I forgot about the actor's name. I was going to say Kylo Ren was on, but Adam Driver was on the Rich Eisen show, I believe. ? It's a TikTok. You don't see who the host is, so I don't know. But he was questioned about Kylo Ren's original storyline, and Driver made the point of going into it it was supposed to be the reverse of Darth Vader, where Vader is the ultimate heading into episode 4 and then is questioning it at the end, whereas his character of Kylo Ren was supposed to not quite have a full grasp of the dark side at the beginning, but then be so completely into it by the end of their story. But because of the director changes and them trying to figure things out along the way, the story was lost.
Yeah, this is tough because I think if we were to vote on best character from that trilogy, Kylo Ren wins by a mile. He's the most fascinating character easily. And they definitely butcher him a bit. Him and Finn, two most interesting characters. They both get butchered. Why he's so interesting is because he's battling with that middle ground of the Force, light and dark. And I'm okay. Obviously, the whole kiss at the end was stupid. I'm okay with him being quote unquote good because I actually feel like that makes more sense.
Well, he said he was never supposed to be Ben Solo.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Now,
I don't know. There's a lot of different things happening in that trilogy, and it seems like no one had any idea what they were doing.
Yeah, but also the very first movie sets him up as Ben Solo, so that's why I'm saying I don't know if that's true. I do believe that his end might have been different, but I also think that maybe they just pitched him something and he never really saw a full timeline because, again, if they had a full timeline, I don't think that trilogy would have been so left and right, up and down. Like the whole thing was a mess, obviously. It would be pretty intriguing to have a Star Wars villain remain a villain because that hasn't happened in our main timeline ever.
News app. Got some more details for the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, so I love this trilogy. I still don't know if you've seen any of them.
Yes, I have. They're awesome.
These were the last two were Matt Reeves movies. First one's still.
Can you end all of your sentences now with, if we're talking about a movie, just be like, I don't know if you've seen it or not.
This movie is going to be the fourth in that series, and I guess is going to kick off a new trilogy, and it is set 300 years after the last movie. So hypothetically, the characters in this movie have no idea about the characters from those movies, which might be a good thing. You set off yourself in a new story direction. You don't need to really reference any of the old characters. I did like the old characters a lot, though, so maybe they will work it in a little bit.
It'd be crazy if James Franco pops up in this one.
350 years later. Yeah, the timeline of those first movies has got to be 20 years or so from the beginning to end of that trilogy.
News down. Got a poster for Madame Web with Emma Roberts as Peter's mother and Adam Scott as Uncle Ben. You have a note here, Mac.
This movie's going to be so bad.
It's going to be real stinky, yeah.
Sydney Sweeney won't be able to save it. And they're going to do something really shitty with Emma Roberts and Uncle Ben. And
did you see this, Mac? Did you hear about
this? Tell me about it.
Sid the Kid was bit by a spider on the set of her sexy rom-com that's coming out.
Well, that's not, I don't want her to be harmed in any way because she's a national treasure. She is an international treasure, in fact. Didn't they film that in Australia?
No.
There's some
somewhere
scary
sexy,
spiders.
I'll say that much.
Scary spiders in Australia.
They filmed it somewhere sexy.
There was water there. I don't mind spiders, Goo. You know why? Because they eat insects. And I would say spider greater than insect. What would you rather?
I don't like anything. How's that for a hot take? I don't like anything.
There he is. That's the Goo I want.
News down. Saw 11 has been announced.
I don't know why they're still going to make these. Saw 10 was liked, but do we need an 11, Goo?
News down. Netflix has greenlit Blue Eye Samurai Season 2.
This I know you haven't seen. This you should see. This was a really good season of television. It's anime style, which in general I'm not into, but I really enjoyed this, and I only watched it because the hashtag Dork Boys recommended it. I'm surprised at how much I liked it. It's one of the best television shows of the year.
News app. And finally, Aquaman, the Lost Kingdom is coming out. I couldn't get the headline
Lost
up.
City
I was trying to read. The City of Kingdoms is coming out this Friday in theaters. Momoa told EW, this is after earlier this year being like, if this movie's well received, you might see Aquaman moving forward. He now is telling EW The future of Aquaman is not looking too good.
Yeah, his tide has really changed here. He had to
gone belly up, baby.
he had to have had a conversation with James Gunn at some point, and I'm sure James Gunn let him down easy. He was like, most likely you won't be back as Aquaman, but if it does really well, maybe we'll consider
But
it.
also you won't, because we're gonna make you Lobo.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I do.
I am really intrigued as to what the Rotten Tomato scores for this movie is gonna be, because I feel like people like Manoa enough and want him involved in stuff.
Momoa, not Manoa. He's not the fucking pitcher for the Blue
Momoa.
Jays.
I said Momoa.
You said Manoa. You said Alec Manoa.
Clip it. Run it back. Go back 10 seconds.
I'm gonna edit it if you did say it the right way and fix it.
People might be kind to this. This might get better scores than we're anticipating.
Look,
and
this
that first Aquaman movie did much better than we expected it to.
made like $1 billion.
Yeah.
But this might sound negative, Mac. I'm hoping this movie's an absolute mess.
Oh, yeah. Nothing would make me happier than like a 7%.
But I think that I would really enjoy an absolute mess of a movie.
Is Patrick Wilson's Ocean Master the worst comic book character you've seen in the last 10 years?
Yes.
That's a really bad guy.
Ocean Master. Also, it's going to get squashed at the box office by Wonka.
Week apart, it might be all right.
Wonka made $40 million last weekend. It made $151 domestic. I actually heard a great, what would have been a better Wonka prequel, and this is from the guys over at the Weekly Planet, is that if Wonka was an escaped Nazi scientist, it would make a lot more sense. Think about it. He's into torture.
The real
He's
world,
able to make all these crazy machines.
I think the whole thing is that's not a real world.
He has no emotions towards anything.
How quick? Actually, let's do a couple over-unders here, Goo.
Yeah.
For Aquaman. How long? Two characters. Mara, played by what's her face there? The really bad girl, Johnny Depp's ex there.
What's her name there?
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard.
Over under her lasting 30 minutes in this film.
Under. I mean, she's trying to sue the movie for cutting her out. So
Nicole Kidman as Mama Aquamom. Over under 30 minutes for her.
It'd be crazy if they gave her like 2 hours just out of nowhere. They're like, by the way, we like this character now.
I think that's going to be
buy her toys.
I think that's going to be the jumping off point. If she gets killed like 12 minutes into the movie.
That makes sense. Like if she gets killed by Ursula.
I say under for her, over for Mara. I bet Mara pops up but isn't involved much in the movie.
Let me ask you this. Do you think this movie makes over 100 million domestic?
No, The Flash didn't. Why would this?
Momoa is more likable than Ezra Miller.
Yeah, but there's no way this movie's better than that movie.
I'm not saying it's better. I'm saying make money. The first one made $1 billion.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good question. That is a good question.
You know
I'm gonna say under The Flash's domestic run.
The Flash did not make a lot of money.
I know.
News dump. That'll do it for News Dump. Check us out at the end of the week. We're going to do something Christmassy. So check it out.
Top 10 cookies to leave out for Santa.
Well, that's for Monday, which will be a little bit late because you should have already done that on Sunday night. But
yeah.
News Dump.